In a quiet courtroom, the air was thick with tension. A black woman dressed in a sharp navy suit entered with the confidence of someone who knew she belonged there. However, a police officer blinded by bias stopped her, ignoring her federal badge. With a sneer, he snatched her identification, accused her of forgery, and attempted to handcuff her in front of a stunned audience. What he didn't realize was that in just 7 minutes, his world would collapse under the weight of the truth she held. This is the story of Maya Thompson, a federal agent who transformed humiliation into an unforgettable comeback. It was a Thursday morning in a courtroom in Denver, Colorado, where the air felt dense, as if the marble walls held the secrets of years of injustice. Maya Thompson, 37, entered courtroom 3A with determined steps. Her perfectly tailored navy suit whispered authority, and in her hand, a brown leather briefcase contained a USB drive filled with evidence that could ignite a firestorm: recordings, testimonies, and videos exposing police corruption. That day, she wasn't just a witness. She was the spark that would reveal hidden truths. Maya had grown up in Atlanta, Georgia, where silent strength was learned on the streets and in her grandmother's kitchen. Her mother worked long hours as a nurse, and her father left when she was just a child. Maya learned to walk with her head held high, even when suspicious glances followed her. By the age of 15, she had memorized the rules. Don't make noise, stay alert, always keep your ID visible. This resilience carried her to the FBI, not through connections, but through sheer determination that made her stand out in a world that constantly underestimated her. That Thursday morning, as she approached the courthouse security checkpoint, Officer Jake Reynolds, a middle-aged white man with 2 decades on the force, looked at her with disdain. Her FBI badge was clearly displayed, yet he dismissed it. "That's fake," Reynolds growled, blocking her path. Without listening to her or verifying her identity, he grabbed her arm, twisting it behind her back. The sound of the cuffs snapping shut echoed in the courtroom, silencing the crowd. The judge, the lawyers, the reporters, everyone watched, and no one intervened. With her cheek pressed against the wooden railing, Maya felt a fury burning hotter than fear. She wasn't just a federal agent. She was the lead investigator in a case exposing a network of corrupt officers, including Reynolds. The very evidence that could destroy him was now on the floor. "Where did you get this badge? Did you steal it?" Reynolds mocked, holding her ID as if it were a joke. A couple of officers laughed, but the crowd remained silent. The air grew thick, as if a storm was about to break. On her knees, Maya whispered, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." He laughed, tightening the cuffs, thinking he had silenced her. But he couldn't have been more wrong. In a detention room, Maya sat, the red marks of the cuffs still visible on her wrists. A young officer offered her water, murmuring an apology. She didn't respond. She didn't need compassion. She needed clarity. What had just happened wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a revelation of how little the system had changed. Even with a badge, a title, and the truth in her hands, she was still reduced to a stereotype in seconds. Outside the courthouse, reporters captured snippets of the incident on video, and photos circulated online. The judge paused the session, but everyone knew why the woman who was supposed to testify had been humiliated in front of the very man she came to expose. Yet Maya returned to court. Her testimony was still scheduled. The atmosphere had shifted. Eyes followed her, phones recorded in silence, and even the court reporter hesitated over the keys. When Maya took the stand, her voice cut through the silence like a knife. "For the past 7 months, I have led an undercover investigation into coordinated misconduct within the Denver Police Department." She began, pulling out a USB drive and pointing to the projector screen. The evidence included recordings, falsified reports, and altered body camera footage showing a pattern of racial profiling and procedural violations. The courtroom froze as Maya played a recording, the unmistakable voice of Reynolds ordering another officer to fabricate charges against a young black man arrested without cause. The young man's mother, sitting in the audience, silently wept. Maya continued, relentless. "I have 12 more recordings, all linked to detentions of black citizens under 30, all dismissed for lack of evidence. The pattern is clear. The intent is undeniable." Reynolds, sweating, frantically whispered to his lawyer, his arrogance fading with every word Maya spoke. When the prosecutor asked if she could identify the officer who had intimidated her 3 weeks earlier, she answered without hesitation, "Officer Jake Reynolds." The judge, his face tense, confirmed, "The same officer involved in this morning's incident." Maya nodded. Yes, Your Honor. That's why I request that the rest of my testimony be protected under federal privilege. I believe my safety is at risk. The judge agreed, and the atmosphere in the courtroom shifted. Reynolds was no longer a figure of authority. He was a name on a file, a voice on a tape, a badge turned into a weapon. The next day, Maya returned to the courtroom in the same suit, the same briefcase, but with a different energy. The reporters had tripled. Cameras flooded the scene, and the entire city was watching. Reynolds entered, disheveled and chewing gum to hide his nerves. His confidence had evaporated. Maya, however, was ready to close the circle. The judge announced a federal motion to declassify new files. Maya took the floor. I filed an emergency motion this morning, authorized by my FBI supervisor. It includes the declassification of new evidence and a request for immediate disciplinary action against Officer Jake Reynolds. She pulled out a second USB drive marked with red tape. It contained 26 minutes of audio from a confidential source who worked under Reynolds' orders, detailing instructions to manipulate reports, pressure subordinate officers, and silence citizens. Reynolds screamed, "This is a lie. It's a setup." But Maya didn't flinch. "Would you like to explain what you meant when you said, 'I'm untouchable'? I have the whole system in my pocket," she asked. "That's your voice on the tape, isn't it, officer?" The judge allowed her to continue. Maya played a video of Reynolds in a dark parking lot, handing over a file with altered statements. His frozen face on the screen was a silent condemnation. "Your Honor, we request the immediate detention of Officer Jake Reynolds for obstruction of justice and conspiracy to interfere with a federal investigation," Maya stated. The judge, his face grim, ordered, "Sheriff, arrest Officer Reynolds." Incredibly, Reynolds stammered, "You believe her, not me?" But no one defended him. The sound of the cuffs snapping on his wrists served as a final punctuation. Maya stepped close enough for him to hear. "You didn't think I'd have the last word, did you?" The case didn't end with Reynolds. Maya, alongside her attorney Sarah and a remorseful officer named David Lee, uncovered a corruption ring that stretched beyond Denver. They reopened a 5-year-old case involving a young officer who had tried to expose abuse and was found dead, officially ruled a suicide, but with inconsistencies pointing to murder. That case led to the investigation, and Maya, as a federal force, exposed systemic patterns of abuse nationwide. Lee testified publicly, inspiring reforms and whistleblower protections, while Sarah became an unstoppable force in court. Reynolds was convicted on multiple charges. His downfall became a symbol that no one is above the law. Maya was promoted to a senior position in the FBI, rewriting policies and training a new generation of agents. But she never forgot the cost, the sleepless nights, the threats, the glances that followed her. One afternoon in Atlanta, sitting in her grandmother's house, Maya touched an old photo of her father. Her grandmother, tears in her eyes, said, "He'd be proud of you." Maya didn't respond, but for the first time in years, she took a deep breath, letting the weight lighten, if only for a moment. This is not just Maya's story, it's a call to all of us. What would you do if the system tried to silence you? Would you speak out, even when it was uncomfortable? Would you listen to those who finally find the courage to break their silence? Justice doesn't come with applause or trophies. It comes with scars, sleepless nights, and the simple radical act of doing what's right over and over again. Maya showed us that one voice can change everything. Now it's your turn.